that are to be answered.
Yep. All right, we're recording now. So we're gonna we got a bunch of questions we're gonna answer. And go ahead, kick us off. What do you got?
Okay, I had to put it on my WhatsApp. Hold up. All right. Let me see. All right. So, have either of you ever had a client come in with suboptimal conditioning? If yes, and they were executed perfectly, what went wrong? And were able to correct it in their next shows? So basically, if you had an athlete who's been doing everything bang on, but they didn't come in optimal condition, what went wrong, and were able to correct it in future shows?
Um, I mean, yeah, I think
I could talk about if you don't have one top of mind, because obviously I was able to think about this a little bit.
yeah, I mean
Um,
I have I have two uh two different ones. One, the guy didn't come, it was to my standard suboptimal. Um, just from the simple fact that he wasn't listening until 8 weeks out.
yeah, I
And I
mean
called him out.
her question is like they were executing perfectly. That's why it's kind of
Oh,
hard,
okay.
like because I'll say I have had instances where I had a client, it was Chris Pica. We were pushing him both his last two preps, and like he just wasn't responding. But all I did, I brought him in the condition that I wanted him to be in all of his shows because like when I really, really dug him into the dirt, like more than I would a normal athlete, he responded.
Right, right, right.
But the only times like I think of times when I had somebody who wasn't responding, the two instances that I've had, I pulled both of them from prep.
Right,
So
right,
it's rare that I'll put somebody on stage with suboptimal conditioning,
right,
because
right,
my goal is to say, hey, look, like let's do another show. It's
right,
only
of
an instance
course.
where the person's like, oh, like I have this goal, like I want to do this show, like I have other things going on in life, I just want to close it out. Like, yeah, of course
Right,
I'm going to help you. That's my just what you paid me to do,
of
and
course,
I
of
respect the
course.
fact that you want to close out the goal, right?
Right.
But anyway, that's I don't have any examples where I put somebody on stage that was actually executing like
Right.
perfectly, but like it just didn't click, you know?
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, I think the only other like example I could think of is if somebody's brand new to the sport, they just got into training, they just got into wanting to compete, and they've only been doing it for say like a year, and we get them on stage. Like obviously, the more muscle you have, the more conditioned you're going to be able to achieve and look because you have more muscle to simply shred down. So I think if like somebody's new to it, they're not as going to be as peeled because they don't have that a lot of muscle tissue. It's not dense yet. It's not mature. It hasn't saturated onto the physique as long yet. So I think that would be a case of, hey, like that would be more of a suboptimal conditioning standard for you or I for an athlete. But whereas like there's only so much you can only condition the muscle you have.
Yeah,
That would
it's a time thing.
right
Just
at
a time
time
thing.
right, and that would be an example of somebody being bang on. But again, I think to your point, which is also the whole other side of things, is somebody executing, and is there outside factors that are limiting the variables like responding, right? They're nailing every variable down, and what is limiting that response? It's stress, maybe a new job, family life, significant other stress, whatever, normal day-to-day life. They don't know how to manage their stress better. I think that's another big thing too. Like you have to be good at managing stress to a certain level because life's not stopping when you're in prep. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Your point being, if the person's not responding and they are executing, there's likely some other
Something
variable
else is
that's
going on. Right, right,
yeah,
right. Of course, right. So, um,
yeah,
but if it was that bad, I would just pull somebody from
yeah,
prep.
yeah. Agreed. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
why blood work is so important, right? I mean, I
So,
require my enhanced athletes at least twice a year to get blood work, and my normal athletes at least one. What's going
hey,
on,
what's up?
Josh? How you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
brother? Um,
Um,
yeah, I mean,
but
you
because
know
like
how I am
if
with
you
it.
go into a prep and your labs are off, that's you could have caught that and not wasted your time or addressed it before it
Yeah,
was, an issue.
I mean, you know how I am, dude, of course. Like my requirements for lab work, especially enhanced, are before a prep starts, anywhere between 6 and 10 weeks post show, pending the harshness of the cycle, how lean somebody was, how their reverse is going, but always mandatory 6 to 8 weeks post show. And then if the off season is going to be a longer one, definitely between cycle to cycle for sure. So it could range from anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year, 2 to 3 really. Um, so
I've been excuse me. Hey, put this down. I've been having people get labs at the end of their cycle, and you'd be surprised
yeah,
how good people's labs are.
yeah. Well, I mean, I tell people all the time when everything PEDs, like you look at them like in the middle of a circle, but when everything on the outside of that circle is properly done, right? Like their nutrition's on point, their sleep and recovery is on point, they're not overtrained, right? And their training is on point, right? Their health going into the cycle was on point. They're not a fat piece of shit, right? Um, what did Jackie say? I need the lab
Jackie
hookup.
needs a lab hookup. I have multiple sources to help you get labs if you need it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Actually, but
Well, she gets it through her doc. I think her doctor. Jackie, we'll talk.
the doctors are so fucking annoying though.
I
Like
know because every
it's
time we've
it's
needed Jackie's lab work to get her thyroid in order, her hormones
they're
and
like,
like
oh no, we're not going to
she
run these labs.
she's
There's
had
no need.
she's had to get lab work a bit more frequent this past year, and I know obviously, she knows too. Of course, she's the one who has had to get it done more frequent than we would have liked, but it's from the simple fact that like we had to make sure her hormones were in a good spot, and me and her had a really good conversation the other day, and I told her look at the response your body's now getting. It's the best you've ever looked, and it's the best you're going to look on stage ever to this point because everything on your lab work was bang bang.
Hey, what the fuck? All right, yeah, we gotta
Yeah,
definitely.
well, yeah.
Look, I don't know. I don't know what sources you're using, but I got a couple online that'll help.
Thank you,
That
Sam.
won't be
Yeah, I'm gonna Johnny's got a doctor who just bills it through insurance.
all right. Good,
And
good.
he charges like I don't know, $50 or $100 to write the prerequisite. So I'm gonna make sure that that does not happen again, Jackie. Have you guys ever seen
So
improved blood work even in the blast while using red? No, I 100% have. My one client, to his point, um, I've been help. She's probably in her early 50s, and it's a friend of mine from back in the day. His wife, she had a 6.1 A1C. Her average glucose was in the 180s to 190s, and her fasting insulin was like 18 to 20. And she took the retatrutide for 3 months. I shit you not, her A1C is down to 5.4, and her average glucose is in the 90s now.
oh yeah,
It,
because she
it,
was
it
dieting.
no, 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 no. And this was like
Well, she wasn't eating though. Was the point? She was eating less. That's why it was down. I don't believe, dude. I'm not
not
hopping on the Reddit wagon yet. I don't.
but not
I
so
think,
she
dude.
was
I'm
eating
sure
more though than when she came to me.
she was a lifestyle client and she was eating more.
Well, she came to me only eating 1 2 times a day.
All right. Well, that's
And then
when you
she's
go
on
from
five
one
meal.
extreme to
That yeah,
actually
right.
doing what you should be doing. Like that's.
But I
I
also
think
don't.
that would have been the case either way, with or without the Reddit. It would have been improved. Is the point?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen so like for example, Brandon runs naturally higher glucose levels. So does Feldman when their carbs are higher. I mean, Brandon's glucose right now, and he's eating almost 450 carbs a day, is in the 80s, and I have him on 500 micrograms twice a week.
In his off season,
Yeah,
and it doesn't impact his appetite.
the guy never's hungry though. Like he's on zero carbs and an hour and a half of cardio, not hungry. He's on 400 carbs and never not hungry. He's never hungry. It's the weirdest shit ever.
Yeah, I can't fathom running something that's going to suppress my appetite in the off season. I'd be eating like 100 carbs a
So
day.
for him, it's really so because he blows up with carbs, but for his metabolic rate, how hard he has to be pushed in prep. So it's really just to help that.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? But it's and then with Feldman, I have him on just 250 micrograms twice a week, and it's helping his glucose stay lower. Somebody like, and it's not messing his appetite up, but he also hates to eat too. I mean, his food's high. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'd fucking hate to eat if I was on Reddit and
Now,
my food was high too.
do I agree with you though? We are in the early stages of the retatrutide, wagon. have I seen some
Yeah,
improvements?
I specifically feel like it's definitely a useful tool. I use it for clients. I just think I can't talk to anybody without them bringing up Reddit anymore. And it's like, dude, we're fucking bodybuilders. Just fucking eat less and deal with it. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about Reddit like every
Yeah,
two
do I
seconds.
think like you or I need it to get in shape? No, I mean we've proven for a decade that we can get shredded without something like that. But
Or every single good bodybuilder up until this year.
right, of course, right. I no, 100%, you're right. But do I think like we're still in the early stages of seeing the true benefits of it? I do before like there's like we go from like a bandwagon to like, hey, there's actual like a lot of anecdotal proof. But there's definitely the early signs are showing there's definitely improvements with a lot of shit,
Yeah,
you
no, I'm
know.
not saying it's bad at all. I just think
More
it's
so the insulin sensitivity aspect of things.
yeah, but
That's all. I think it's really
anyway.
good for people who like can't control their fucking selves.
Yeah, yeah, it's a useful tool. Like I have people reversing out on it
Yeah,
because
like just
that's
Justin,
when your
that
appetite
shit.
is
Oh,
that your
Justin,
yeah. Oh my
100%.
God, Justin needs to be on like 100 milligrams of Brita all year.
I have him on it still at 2 grams, dude, because he would be off the deep end with food, man.
Dude, I watched him eat two meals back to back in the thick of his off season.
It's crazy. And that was
In
like
the
eating
thick of his off
600 and
season.
like 600 grams of it just is what it is. Some people's appetites, are
I
like that,
wish
but I
if I
wish
had
too.
a if I had
Fuck.
a genie with three wishes, one of my wishes would be to have Justin's appetite.
Yeah, I'd ask for a new shoulder first and then the appetite. And then probably a solid M8 that never gains miles when you drive
Yeah, that's
it.
number two.
But yeah, so anyway, I know we just kind of went down a rabbit hole.
Oh, that's why these are fucking good,
I
dude.
know that was a good question. Um, what else you got?
A lot of people seem to think only natty coaches can coach natural athletes. Do you have to mostly have experience working with natural athletes to properly coach a natural athlete? How big of a difference does it make?
I just put three natural athletes on stage 3 days ago, and they were all in shape.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, let's be clear, there's a big difference between coaching natural athletes and
100%.
enhanced athletes, especially in a prep, just because they're so prone to hormone downregulation and metabolic downregulation
Yep.
because their systemic fatigue is so much higher and their recovery is so much less than somebody who's
100%.
enhanced, you know? So you really have to
100%.
like push and pull on somebody and really get their feedback on how their recovery is, their sleep is, all that, how they feel, you know? Because once they start going beyond a point of no return, that's when we get into the scenario in question one where they're not responding and they're executing perfectly.
Right.
So yeah, I think if I'm a natural athlete and I'm looking for a coach, I don't give a fuck if they coach enhanced athletes, but I definitely want them to coach natural athletes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it
You
shows a
know?
lot, man. Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, with more experience, I definitely see the difference in definitely the preps between individuals who have full PEDs cycles and not, it's a big fucking difference.
Yeah. Um, do you know what's crazy is I don't know what the fuck goes on in like IMBF OCB, but I don't know why people seem to think that you can't get like shredded when you're natural. Because unless you're a pro, like I've seen a lot of insanely good
I
pro
mean,
athletes.
Tommy was shredded and he's all natural. Like
Right,
there's not
right,
even a
yeah.
peptide in play.
That's the point. It's like when you take somebody who is, and I'm just saying this across the board because we'll make no mistake about it, like the level of athlete at a natural show is generally like in regional ones. Like there's not a lot of really good athletes. At least to the shows that I've been to in the past. I don't imagine it's gotten much better.
Right.
Because I think some of the athletes were even better back then, back in like the
Right.
2010, 2011 time frame.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those guys don't realize how conditioned you can truly get. So when you take a coach who's coached enhanced athletes and gotten them, 4%, 5% body fat with, shredded glutes, they're like, okay, so this is achievable. Now, how do I get this guy, this natural guy, to the same level without any enhancements? I think like a lot of natural athletes just don't understand how fucking shredded you can get. At least again at the amateur level, because again, some of the conditioning I've seen at those shows, the NBC shows can be bad enough, but some of the OCB shows, IMDF shows, and the amateur ranks are like, wow.
Yeah, 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 I agree.
So yeah,
These are
there's
good
definitely
questions.
benefit. There's benefit to coaching both.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Other question I have: bikini athletes turning pro natural, can they?
Yes.
It's like the fringe minority, though. Let's be real, right?
I
Like
mean,
you gotta have
I was
pretty,
just answering it on a
yeah,
quick yes or no. I mean, but yes, it's possible. Do I think that's probably going to be one in probably 200 females? Yeah, probably.
yeah. I would say that's probably a good number, right? Because you could be completely elite genetic and build muscle like more easily than the normal person and have great shape and just get in shape easily. And yeah, you could absolutely get a pro card without like 10 plus years of training. The other
Yep.
part of that is you have somebody who has good genetics but not elite genetics, and they've been doing it perfectly for years and years and years and years, right? But again, to your point, these are like the minority. Generally speaking, now with the size that girls are getting, especially with the introduction of Fit Model and how those girls are now getting cap delts, yeah, you more than likely are going to need some level of enhancements to turn pro in bikini these days. Go look at the girls that are winning pro cards now.
100%. 100%.
Um, okay, this one's for me. I saw you got gyno surgery. Do you recommend for better placings, like at shows? Uh, it depends on your level, right? If you're somebody who's just a regional competitor, like maybe wants to do national someday, you have a little bit of gyno, like, is it really going to make that much of a difference for you? That's your decision to make on your body. But from a placing perspective, I doubt it. It's probably only going to be if it's pretty noticeable at that level. Now, if you're taking this shit really seriously, if you have gyno, you absolutely should get it removed. Make that investment in yourself because it is pretty ridiculous looking. I just got my gyno surgery done, and I mean, a lot of people didn't even realize I had gyno. It was that small. I just had like adolescent gyno. I grew up with it, where my nipples were kind of like puffy, like had some volume to them. So I started feeling some actual breast tissue gyno growing underneath. So I was like, "Fuck this! I'm getting it done before it becomes an issue because it's just going to bother me even more." And yeah, I would recommend it if you're taking the shit seriously. It's worth the money.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right, awesome. They were good questions for sure, man. Fuck. Really good.
Wait, what did Josh say? Sorry.
I don't know. I can't see
Would
the
you
chat.
consider someone using bioregulars genetics still? Because if you use one, you can enhance the thyroid production.
Mm.
A bioregulator?
It's like a peptide.
Oh, okay. I
So
mean, I think it comes down to the division and their rules at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah.
Because anybody who's wants to be the best at something will do any means necessary within the parameters of their organization. And that goes for every single sport, period.
Yep, I agree. All right. Um, it's actually a good question. How has your perspective on PEDs changed as you've gained more coaching experience?
How has it changed? I don't know. I don't necessarily. I don't know. It's just evolved. I wouldn't say it's like changed so much.
Right, right. So I think that's a good word for it. I would say it's definitely evolved for me over the last 4, 5, 6 years as I've got more experience prepping individuals, dealing with different X's and O's and when to make adjustments, when to push, when to pull, various different bodies, more muscled individuals, less people that are literally coming to me looking like they never even seen the inside of a gym, and then 12 to 18 months later being on stage and doing very well and being shredded. So I would say the biggest thing that's changed for me um is just kind of knowing having more education and more knowledge and more experience on when you don't need more, when you actually can do with less, when you might not need this AI or that AI, when you might need to implement things at a later stage in prep, as opposed to like the textbook of trend should be in at 8 weeks out. You know, some people now will put it in at 4. I'm using, I think in general, the sport is using a lot less trend than it was, say, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, as a whole. So I think these just things have evolved as I've gained
Yeah.
more experience and education.
Yeah, you brought up something really important, the example of the trend not being as pervasive in people's cycles and a requirement in prep. And that's, in my opinion, heavily as a result of a lot of top level people being open about their drug use, right? I think of somebody like you guys probably know his Instagram handle, the Black Rambo, Daniel Fabode, really nice guy, fellow classic pro. He's put out a lot of content sharing his cycles and that I can't recall if it is inclusive of trend, but talking about things like running 300 tests and 2 grams of masteron, right? Like he's I don't believe trend was included in this, but the point being is people are realizing what guys are doing to get to the look that they have. And like you would look at Daniel on stage and be like, this dude's on fucking 700 milligrams of trend. He's jacked out of his fucking face. But didn't he have any trend in his program? Yeah, he had a high amount of mass, but that's another thing that we've learned is there are certain compounds that you can push pretty fucking hard, like mass, and very not likely see a big change on your blood work. I've had athletes
Or the way
run
you
up,
feel. Or the way
right,
you
right,
feel.
or the way you feel, right? Like these things aren't like nobody in the past would have been like, yeah, let me blast 2 grams of mass,
No.
at least from my perspective. But that's one of the benefits I think of people being more open about what they're actually doing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I think too, a lot of people don't realize that some of these guys with these elite physiques, right? And somebody with a good physique in general, they know how to fucking train. Like take the drugs aside. They know how to connect with their muscle. Whether they're going fucking super, super slow and pausing and all this bullshit. Someone like that guy, Daniel, he's been training for how fucking long, right? And over time, his nervous system is embedded to have a mind muscle connection, because he just knows how to fucking train. His body's used to it. So I think a lot of the younger generation gets into this sport now and they're like, I gotta blast drugs at age 21 because they're trying to cut that time in half that it really takes, drugs aside, with consistency on eating, getting good at fucking eating, right? Because that's a big thing, and then getting good at training. When I say getting good at training, I mean
Those are the two most
most
important
important
things,
things.
period.
It's when I say getting good at training, I'm talking repetition after repetition and putting the time in where you know what works for your body, what doesn't, and all that. So the PDs are like that cherry on top when the other things of training hard, getting your fucking sleep down. If you're out on Friday, Saturday night getting drunk and going to bed at 4 a.m. and sleeping your whole day away, and you're blasting drugs Monday through Friday, it's like it's not smart. You're not going to get to that physique you desire. You got to make sure all the other boxes of bodybuilding are checked, in my opinion, before PEDs, even to a moderate extent, come into play. You know what I mean? They're not going to just make you magically burn fucking fat and look like your favorite influencer. It just isn't how this shit works.
Yeah, I think the statistic of percentage of men that ever step foot in a gym or regularly go to a gym that have used performance enhancing drugs at some point, it's like north of 60% or some shit like that, or north of 40%. And you would never step foot in a gym and think that ever.
I
The
also,
point being is these guys don't train and they don't fucking eat like how you should eat, right? That's the drugs are just they're not gonna fucking really do anything.
yeah, if you, for I think for a normal baseline, if you can't sit there and eat in your first meal 50 to 60 grams of protein, 100 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of fat, and then another 3 to 4 meals during the day of 40 to 50 grams of protein, and another 80 to 100 carbs, and another 10 to 15 grams of fat, and then a meal before bed consisting of the same, that's like the standard macros, I would say, to be a good eater to grow.
Yeah. JC just said he works at a gym, so he meets a lot of people. Talking, he's met 14-year
14
olds
years
on
old.
game.
That's fucking, and I
Bro,
believe it too.
your brain is like half developed at 14 years old.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Oh my God. That's honestly sad. Whoever
I mean, to be
actually
fair,
sold
I
them
was
that
doing
shit
pretty
should
dumb
be,
shit when I was 14, so
Yeah, whoever sold him that shit should be in fucking jail.
Yeah,
All right, let's see what else I got here.
we're like banging them out, dude. We're so focused right
Hell yeah.
now.
All right. Let's see, I'm trying to think of which one I want to read. Okay. So just on the PED topic, because there's another question I got about PEDs. As a coach, in your opinion, what separates a responsible, and they put it in quotes, PED protocol from a reckless one?
Oh, it's total exposure over time. Those are the two variables.
I was just about to say that. How
You
much you're
sleep?
using, the total amount you're using, for how long of a time.
Love you. Go ahead.
um,
Sorry.
yeah, the total, the amount you're using, and for the duration. Now, um, I like to titrate, especially for men, cycles up. So like you're not at that top fucking peak of the total milligram, for the whole 16, 20 week cycle. It might be for the last like 6 to 8, but it's titrating up. But if you're on 3 grams of gear for 5 straight months, it's pretty fucking dumb. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's just none of these crazy physiques that like we were just talking about, that guy Daniel, like none of these guys are on fucking 2 grams, 3 grams of gear for 4 straight months. It's like they might have the end of their push cycle be the last 4 to 8 weeks and they're pushing it, and that's it. And like I'm speaking from, you know, somebody who's close with, who was a very top coach in the fucking industry and who's worked with Olympians and all this. And I've seen the cycles like literally on fucking paper of what this man has told them to do. I've seen other top coaches, that people he's coached came from, and I've seen that shit on paper. And I'm not going to name any names, but some coaches are fucking crazy with the cycles, and some aren't. And I would be honest with you, I think the ones that aren't as crazy and are more on the moderate, responsible side have the better looking physiques and clients.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less inflammation, right? And I think that's a huge one. But that I guess again, in our opinion, is what's a responsible PED protocol. I mean, you're putting drugs in your body. The word responsible, I feel like, is should be used very like, loosely here. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? We're talking about drugs, so I don't like
Yeah.
that word when it comes to it, but I'm just reading it for what it was put into me. All right. My other PED question. How do you guys structure PED cycles throughout different seasons? Off season, prep, post show? Question mark.
You structure them?
Yeah, so it says, how do you guys structure PED cycles throughout each different season? Off season, prep, post show? Question mark.
Oh, well, prep is obviously going to be the most of it, right?
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, you're getting ready for a show, so you're going to be running the most compounds, you're going to be running the highest dosages, you're going to be running the most ancillaries. Um, Rebound, if I rebound the person on drugs, it's going to be very light. It's going to be like a test in an NPP, or like a test in a uh, uh, primo, and it's going to be like low dose. It's going to be like 4 to 500 test or test, and like 300 of either of those compounds, primo or MPP, like max. It's just gonna be something light. And in
Yep.
off season, I mean, the standard, right? A test base and a mast and an MPP. Maybe I'll throw an oral in there. I really like T-ball and Anadrol. No, sorry, I don't really throw around Anadrol, T-ball and Anamar. Um, and it's rare that I'll use something like Anadrol, just because the liver toxicity typically kills people's appetites.
Yeah,
And
I don't
super,
like
I
that
just
shit.
think is, I mean, yeah, it's a great drug to get strong and useful in really any part of the year, but I don't really give it to guys in the off season, and it's rare that I do in pre-contest. If I do ever in pre-contest, it's usually for a guy who I know is very level in their temperament, and it's usually just to kick off a prep while I'm going into the beginning of a prep.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so off season, right? It's test base, right? Might push the test up a little bit. Something like an MPP, a mast or a primo, preferably mast, but obviously we're all on a shortage of that shit recently. growth hormone, maybe a
Yeah.
little insulin pending the athlete. And if it's actually, I want people to listen to this, needed for their insulin sensitivity, not just blasting insulin because it's fucking anabolic, needed. And then we get the synergistic effect from that and the growth hormone together that creates an anabolic environment. But we're also, again, number one, using it for their insulin sensitivity when food's high. Um, and then obviously we'll bridge a gap, with probably a cruise or such into prep, run labs, make sure obviously everything's good. And then in prep, like you said, that's when you're going to get obviously your test space, and then a slew of other things pending. Obviously, if it's male or female, obviously a female is just from the natural effect that they shouldn't be on shit like fucking Trent, right? It's going to be on a bit less, right? And then a guy. But but yeah, obviously the peak of a competitor's PED usage is going to be during their prep. I would say, would you agree it's probably 12 weeks out into the show? Something like that.
I don't generally
Anywhere
change like,
between that.
yeah, yeah, definitely somewhere in between then. I generally don't introduce anything harsh for clients until like 6 weeks out.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, for a female, I'd probably say like anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks out if they needed Winnie for
oh, we're
their.
talking about women's only still?
No, I'm just talking about in
Oh,
general. I was
oh,
just
yeah, because I
breaking
was gonna
women
say
down.
women. I'm not. Yeah, that's another story. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, for men, like trend like 6 weeks out, right?
yeah,
Somebody who's already in phenomenal shape. Last year, I pushed two people to even 4 weeks out, and it was 10 milligrams every other day. And at 2 weeks out, it went to 10 milligrams every day.
yeah, dude. Like you get a lot out of Trent. Like if you're a coach listening to this or whatever, I challenge you to experiment. Once you like get your athlete really in good shape by like 8 weeks out, 6 weeks out, give them 70 milligrams of Trent a week and just watch what
Oh,
happens over the next two weeks.
it's night and day, and
Yeah,
it's
you get a
crazy.
lot out of a little that fucking drug, man.
It's crazy. So, uh, and yeah, that's really how it the phases, I guess, change, or across different aspects of a competitor's year. Um, all right.
You're good questions. Wow, they're
Yeah.
really
Yeah, man. Yeah. Somebody asked too, like how PD protocols change between an off season and a prep, but we just answered that. Um,
everybody loves the PED questions, huh?
always, dude. Um, Milf Lover just came in.
No flavor. My chat must be broken then.
All right, so this was a reverse question, and I mean it is good, but I do think a lot of this also has to fall on the athlete too. But it says, how do you prevent athletes from rebounding too hard post show, both hormonally and psychologically?
I agree with you. I mean, number one, it's up to the athlete, right?
Yeah, they
But
gotta you gotta treat, if you just dieted for 16, 20, 24 weeks and you were as fucking strict as you had to be, and you came into the show nailed and you look your fucking best ever and you were happy with it, and then you just let that discipline train run off the rails, that is not the coach's fault, because the coach cannot just have you go from a 10 out of 10 hunger to a 5 out of 10 hunger like in the snap of their fingers from a Saturday show to a Monday morning when you're back on your plan, right? It's not the coach's fault. You know what I mean? I don't see how in any world that would be the coach's fault, because they can't just say, "Oh, you were on 100 carbs a day, now you're going to be on 400, so you're satiated." You can't. You know what I mean? Like you can't. How? In what world can you do that?
yeah, one of the things that I'll do, I guess, to help mitigate the client from going off plan is just asking them as I'm building their reverse diet, like, are
Yeah,
there any
I
foods that you wanted to see in this diet that's
right.
going to make it easier
Now,
for you, you know?
now I will say this because you brought that up. So obviously we both do that, right? But I've also seen it in a few instances. Again, I'm not going to fucking name names, where that's also bit the athlete and the individual in the ass, because these are foods they were craving. They went into the reverse as an option after I asked them. and that is the exact food they binged on and couldn't stop eating.
Oh, I knew that's what you were gonna say. They ate the whole jar of peanut butter or whatever the
That's what I
fuck
mean.
it
They're like,
was.
I want natural peanut butter
Oh
cereal,
yeah,
and
well that's yeah. Look, that definitely
that's on
comes
the
down
athlete.
to 100% being the athlete because like you're
Yep.
trying to do something to make the diet easier, right?
All right.
But you have to have self-control. Um, but again, like going back to the Reddit, this is an instance where Reddit is like perfect for the type of individual that knows that they don't have that much self-control or whatever. Um, so I just saw your chat. That's funny. What else was it? What point was I gonna make? We're talking about the reverse. Oh, yeah, that's really it. I mean, the only other thing I do is I'll generally put in a cheat meal at a specific caloric value once a week for an athlete.
Right.
And I
Right.
haven't had an instance yet where it became an issue and I had to pull it. Um,
The shit I have.
and
Fuck.
well, dude, well, yeah, you've got a lot more experience than me, so you're bound to run. I know it's gonna happen
You don't
eventually,
want, trust me, you don't fucking want that. It's like you will be Dr. Phil. Like it's just it's terrible, man. I'm like, I'm at the point now where like you just have to be honest with me. You're like, listen, you're not paying me to be a fucking psychiatrist. I'm sorry. I did my job. I got you to stage. If you cannot handle the discipline post show, this is not for you. It was one and done. You're just not for you. Or you need more maturity.
what's the next question?
So this one was how often should somebody that's enhanced be running full blood panels? Which we already kind of went over. Um, do you educate athletes to understand why they're taking the PEDs you advise them to take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
just gonna like throw something on their plan and not tell them what it
right.
is,
Yeah.
what it's
Well,
doing.
so the reason I'm thinking this was asked was because there's a lot of quote unquote coaches out there that just tell people you got to take this and they throw shit on their plan and they don't even know why the fuck they put it on there. So in the world of coaching nowadays, I think that's a really good question because there are, I mean, we've both heard plenty of horror stories to know that this is a really valid question in today's world of coaching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right.
You know what I
It's
mean?
funny
Because
because like I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and they were talking about running Anadrol out of they were talking about running Anadrol in their rebound, and I'm like, yeah, that's like really not something that you should do because we're just taking a bunch of liver toxic drugs. So why the fuck are you going to continue to take a liver toxic drug when you're trying to, come out of a phase where you were taking so many harsh drugs? It's you got to have some. I've had a lot of instances where I don't want to say a lot, but I've had some instances where a client asked, like, "Hey, can we implement this?" And it's like, no, well, we're not going to implement that right now. Like, more isn't always better. There's a purpose behind it. We're already running a 19 or. We're not going to add another 19 or on top of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, you should definitely have some justification behind what you're doing as a coach
100%,
with
hundred
your
percent.
clients, performance enhancements.
Um, how do you avoid gaining excess body fat in a growth phase? So my client Ryan asked this because he hates the fact that he has to put on a little bit of extra fat and doesn't see his Abercrombie and Dick model abs all year. Um, so I told him, unfortunately, you're somebody who gains belly fat and waist fat very easy, but unfortunately, you're also a hard gainer because you're 6 foot fucking six. So there's going to be some fat, but like I told him, lo and behold, we've been pushing him up, then we pull down, and his abs come back, and he feels like a good little Hollister model at the end of the day.
Was Ryan with
Yeah,
you?
yeah, it's like
That's so funny. Yeah, it's just the name of the game of building muscle, man.
so.
But the
Um,
key there is like you have growth phases and you pull back, and you have growth phases and you pull back.
yep, yeah, that's what I told him. 5'11".
Five
That's,
eleven.
I mean, that's way tall.
I
I'm
was
five
gonna say
six.
I don't remember him being that tall.
I mean, dude, 5'11's. I'm 5'6". That is
Yeah.
fucking tall.
I was looking at that picture of us at Atlantic States the other day, and I'm like, damn, I do look a lot fucking taller than Steve, don't I?
Yeah, bro, I'm a fucking midget. um, How okay, so this was a more of a training question. How do you monitor when an athlete might need a week off from training or a break? How do you determine that and how long would you tell them to stay out of the gym?
So deload.
Yeah, yeah. So how we determine that honestly depends on the biofeedback of an athlete, but also too what phase they're in. So like if somebody's in prep, obviously as the show comes in, whether they feel their best or not, they could say till they're blue in the face, I feel great. I'm 4 weeks out. I can do more cardio. I can push and this and that. The bottom line is fatigue is still going to be there because nobody's immune to that, right? You're losing body fat, you're in a deficit, the steep deficit that you get in that your body needs to requires, depending on the individual, to get to that body fat is still stress on the body. Then you add in more cardio, more steps, right? More maybe injections if you are on PEDs. All of this is more inflammation and more fatigue that your body and your nervous system needs to respond to. At some point in prep two, for most people, not everybody, sleep quality becomes an issue, right? Which also impedes on the level of recovery needed to also continue to improve. So, I would say at that point, managing training in terms of less sets, maybe having somebody, even if it's really that bad, going from 5 days in the gym to four if they're already training 5 days, managing high days on a week to week basis. Does this individual need 1 or 2 days? Cutting cardio out, right, to a certain extent, or completely on those days, right? Making off days just off days, right? So there's so many different ways. But at the end of the day, I think to answer the first part of this question, how do you determine that? You got to really, I think, experience from the coaching side, but also how good of a feedback the client gives you.
I don't think you could have answered that any better.
Um, how long, how long does a blast
You gotta clip.
cycle?
You gotta clip that one. Sorry, you gotta clip that one.
All right, fair enough. That's good. I got to figure out what time it was at, or like 50 minutes in.
Uh, yeah, about 15 minutes or so.
All right. So what is your stance on long-term use of growth hormone?
Long-term use, it really kind of goes back to the exposure over total exposure over time, right? If you're
Yeah.
running like, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't have enough personal experience at high dosages to know like when it becomes a problem, but that's because I have foresight and I'm also a classic competitor, so I don't want to risk my waist. But I can imagine if you're running like 10 units north for long periods of time, you're probably going to start seeing some level of distension and other side effects like your hands and feet and nose and ears getting bigger. Because at the end of the day, growth hormone causes hyperplasia. It's growth of organs, right? So yeah, I think you run enough of it long enough, you're gonna get fucked up. Also, the insensitivity issue as a result of the high growth hormone
100%.
levels gets fucked up. And if your growth hormone levels are too high, it could fuck with like your testosterone receptors and stuff too. So it is
100%.
something I think if you're pushing, you should cycle. That being said, if you're running like 6 units or below, like I run like pretty much 4 units all year. I haven't taken it in a couple of months just because I've decided not to on my own.
Right.
I kind of retain a lot of water, and that results in like knee pain and stuff like that when I have it. So, yeah, that's my perspective on that.
Yeah, fuck. I haven't taken growth hormone in fucking how long? Hell,
Yeah, I don't even like have a source for it anymore. I don't even know.
I mean, we kind of do. We kind of do. Um,
Is he? Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
And,
I only know because clients. So, um, I need some growth hormone actually.
anyway, that was a good question.
Yeah, it was. Maybe it'll help my
Yeah,
shoulder.
it would definitely help your shoulder.
I'm gonna go buy some tonight.
There you go.
um, so I have like I got like almost fucking 20 questions, like I told you, dude. So I'll ask like one more and then I'll have like a bunch for next week or in 2 weeks. But I'm gonna put another box up because like it seems like I got like really good fucking questions.
Scott.
It's-
Scott says I do 10 units twice a day. I haven't told my coach. Just 20 units of GH.
That's fucked. That is fucked. Um, trying to pick like
I
one.
lost
I'll
you. I
pick
can't
like
hear
one
you.
more good one. Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. You're back.
So I don't know what happened.
It's weird.
Okay. I'll ask one more question and then I'm gonna ask these other two fucking dumb questions to you. Um, how do you as a coach determine what a minimum effective dose for a PED is?
Determine it. I don't think I determine it as a coach. It's just kind of fact.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
Um,
think it's just like common knowledge that. So let me preface this by saying any type of PED use is abuse of it. Like,
unless it's HRT, that's the
yeah,
only
unless
thing.
it's HRT, it's abuse. So I think that's like we just kind of use that as the baseline here. Nobody's body's meant to take a gram of fucking Masteron. Nobody's body's meant to fucking take 500 milligrams of MPP. It just is what it is, right? Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around that. But the minimum effective dose isn't made by Matt or I. It's just what it's been around forever. Like I said, I think a lot of the dosages on some drugs have actually gotten lower in a sense that become way more people have seen way more effectiveness through like an MPP or a trend, right? So I think that's important stuff. Like people I heard, dude, fucking 10 years ago, people were blasting 600 milligrams MPP. You don't hear that now, right? Rarely.
Yeah, it's not as common.
It's not as common, right? Like what's the most common MPP dose you hear about?
300.
Yeah, it's like anywhere between 200 and 300, right? So like trend, we 10 years ago, how much were people taking?
Way too much, bro.
Five,
Like,
six, seven
yeah.
hundred. Now it's I think like 150 is the most I hear about. So
No,
I think
I see 350 pretty common.
yeah, but I'm saying like it's trend every like some
It's
things
good,
have
but definitely
trended
trending down. Yeah,
trend have trended down. So even test dosages have trended down, right? People used to be taking in the Dallas McCarver era 2 grams a week of
yeah.
test,
It's
right?
crazy,
A
dude.
whole bottle, 2 to 3 grams a week. Now, what's like the most common dose of test? Seven for a high athlete body or a high enhanced body build, 750 to 1250, maybe.
Yeah, and I haven't even really seen a lot of guys, at least coming to me, that are running north of a gram.
No, I see anywhere between 500 and 750.
Yeah, yep.
You
That's
know, and
definitely
like
the sweet
and the
spot.
physiques are getting better. So I
Dude, I
think
feel like fucking amazing on 750 tests.
yeah, I agree with you. I think
I wish I could just cruise on 750 tests all year.
but I think that minimum effective dose has gotten lower, which I think is a really good thing for the sport.
How do you think my blood work would be if I cruised on 750 test and like 75 trend all year? Probably pretty decent, right?
Yeah, it'd be pretty deep. I mean, I think your LDL would probably be like a little on the high end. Your ApoB would might
I'm
be
joking. I would never do it,
um
but
no.
I would literally feel like I was Achilles in the flesh if I could run 750 tests and set in 75 trend.
um let me all right,
You'd be hard all day long. You'd know it more so than anybody.
all right. So I got some dumb fucking sexual questions that
Perfect timing.
Matt's making me read. All right. Would you rather these are so stupid. I hate you for making me do this. Would you rather a
You have free will. I'm not making you do anything, bro.
would you rather would you rather have a roommate who constantly walks in at the worst time during sex or a pet that stares at you the whole time?
Definitely the pet.
I agree with you. All right, this one's fucked up. Would you rather your parents read your search history or your spouse slash significant other read your group message or group chat? That's fucked up.
Former.
You and your best friends text, or you and your friends text. I don't know. We go with that because I don't really have group chats either.
No. Sam would just think if Sam read our text, she'd just think that we're retarded.
100%. Think or no?
No.
And
Yeah.
this one was funny. Would you rather accidentally text your boss something meant for your partner or vice versa?
Say it again.
Would you rather accidentally text your boss something meant for your partner or vice versa?
Oh, oh, oh boy. Well,
So,
I feel like I could troll my boss probably, so I wouldn't really care either way. As long as it's nothing that'll get me fired.
I'd probably prefer the boss text me something inappropriate so that the more embarrassment's on
I don't give a shit.
that.
I don't care enough about my job to care. Like,
That's
well,
fair.
I care about my new job. The industry is more the problem. I'm not
And
going to
then,
be there.
and then Matt, fucking Cahill wrote this one. He's so, where's he at? The dick pic you sent yesterday.
Oh, you have to read that out loud so it's on the recording too. All right.
I didn't expect to see that when I just looked at the screen.
She's trolling my ass right now.
Matt goes, if you're what if your partner could read your thoughts during sex? Would they be concerned or impressed?
Oh no, she'd be so impressed.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Oh my god, they were some really good questions.
Yeah, we just like bulleted through like 30 questions. That was crazy.
I know, but they were pretty good. They were definitely pretty
Concern.
good. That's oh my god, Scott, concern.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by.